going on, my Super Sandwiches? Ramza here with Kirabug with a new setup at our new apartment finally. And this is actually the first video, well, second technically. I did an unboxing, but this is the first official new apartment video that we're doing. And what are we talking about?
Dragon Ball Super.
Episode 58, almost at 56. So, 58. I'm still trying to kind of figure things out because the problem with 58 is, according to that episode, this is all theory, which by the way, it's funny how last week they mentioned GodTube and GodTubers, and then this week we have an episode of just speculation and theories, which is like a big thing in the Dragon Ball community. So I like how it's like a shout out in a way to YouTubers in the Dragon Ball side on YouTube. But the entire episode features basically a speculation theory trying to put two and two together to explain why Black exists in the future, what happened to Zamasu and all that stuff, and it's still very, very confusing. According to Whis, because Goku fought Zamasu in the past, that created Black in the future, but that doesn't make sense because the way the timelines were explained in Dragon Ball, and this is like all the way back in the Trunks arc, like the, not Trunks arc, but the Cell Saga, Angel Saga, that, like long time ago in Dragon Ball Z, is when Trunks went back into the past, it created a parallel world. So instead of just like, going like this, what happened was Trunks going back to past did this. So this is like the main timeline, this is the Trunks timeline, and they were completely different. So when the androids were killed in this timeline, or this timeline, I forgot which I said was which. When the androids were killed in the past, they were still in the future, so when Trunks went back, he had to take care of them all over again. But according to this, because Goku fought Zamasu in the present, it created Black in the future. So, I mean, I guess the one thing you can kind of tie together is due to the fact that the time ring exists, and the last green time ring that was created was the Trunks world. So grabbing that will send you into the future. So according to this episode, Whis basically says that Zamasu learns about the Super Dragon Balls. He asks for the perfect apprentice or servant, in which this case would be Goku Black. And then he asks for immortality a year later, and because he has a time ring, he can skip a year ahead. He doesn't have to wait for another year to get the balls again.
That must have been where he went to Trunks' timeline, when he went a year into the future.
Well, either that. Well, no. That's when you use a green time ring, because the Kaioshin, if you're a Kaioshin, you can grab the other time ring and jump any point in the future. In which case, he would just grab the balls, jump a year in the future, grab the balls again, and do that, and then he would go back to the past. But the other ring, so the way I see it is, because Trunks traveled from the future to the past, it created a ring to that timeline. What I feel like happens is it also creates a ring in that timeline as well to the future to kind of link those worlds together. So I feel like ultimately, I think we're dealing more than one Zamasu here. I think the Zamasu in the future somehow linked up with the one in the past, and then from there they're able to formulate their plan to exterminate all, I guess, mortals. Because as you already seen, Zamasu over the past couple of episodes, well, the entire arc really, he has decided that mortals shouldn't exist because they're violent. They start wars, and he realized that the job of a god isn't to just sit there and watch the world. Like, he wants to do actual justice, as he calls it, and clear the entire world or universes from these people just because they shouldn't exist. And then on top of that, we also find out one important detail. The reason why Gowasu doesn't realize that is, remember last week when they were talking about the whole idea of what it's like to be a god, and we saw the T finally became clear again. I think Gowasu was finally convinced, and this shows you how much of a manipulator Zamasu is. Gowasu was finally convinced that Zamasu is actually good now, and he's enlightened, and he's good to be a Kaioshin. But according to this, he is back to being evil, and I guess he's going to kill Gowasu at some point.
He fooled him.
Just kill the guy. Like, I don't get why.
That old man is clueless.
He is, and that kind of annoys you because he's supposed to be a Kaioshin. He's supposed to be great and be able to understand the complete good. I mean, again, you can't really say much against a manipulator, and in this case, Zamasu is a great manipulator. He's awesome at it. But like, still at the same time, it's like, dude, you're creating literally a monster that's going to go into the future and unleash his justice and try to clear it out. But there's just so many questions that I don't understand. Is the one that bugs you the most is due to the fact that Whis says because Goku fought him in the present, that created Goku Black in the future. But that doesn't make any sense just because that completely defies the laws of time travel and parallel universes that was already established in the Dragon Ball world. Again, the only thing we can kind of bring up there is due to the fact that the time ring exists, and because the time ring exists, that could be the one variable to explain how this is able to work. Like, do you have any anything?
So explain me this: when Zamasu in the present goes and tries to search for the Super Dragon Balls, makes the wish, then doesn't wait a year, uses the time ring because he's already killed Gawasu, right?
Mhm.
If the timeline goes that way, and then he skips a year ahead, okay?
Mhm.
And so now he's in the future, so he wouldn't be in the same timeline anymore. He would skip a year ahead, and then that could potentially lead him into Trunks's timeline. And then when he wishes for immortality, he can't just go back in time because he wouldn't have immortality anymore.
So
he would stay there.
Right. Well, the way it works is he wouldn't go into Trunks' timeline about jump into the future.
But what if he did on accident?
No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying this is confusing. When Trunks went back into the past, it created a whole new parallel world. Which, I mean, technically, I guess you could jump into the future, but the Kaioshin can only travel forward, not backwards, and that's what keeps the time flow, I guess, good. Jumping backwards is when it creates bad, and that's when they created a green time ring that basically gives Zamasu instant access to that world. If that makes sense. So, gosh, this is so confusing.
I still don't get it. Like, I get the fact that when you go back in the past, you create.
When you go in the past, you create another parallel world.
Right.
But if you go into the future, and because if you go to the future, you can't really change anything that's going to affect the timeline in the past, so that's fine. And I guess theoretically he could jump into Trunks' timeline, but he doesn't need that because he has the ring for instant access. Because every time you travel back into the past, it creates a green time ring, which is like this. This is kind of like the screw up in the flow of time, and that's why when Gawasu had that ring of the box of rings a couple of episodes ago, it had 4 green ones, and that last one, as he said, was some fool created this last one a couple years ago, referring to Trunks going to the past and then creating a different world. The only thing that I want to know is there more Zamasus involved? Because we do know one thing for sure: the Zamasu in the future is not the same one as the one in the past, and I know this solely for one reason, which I can't really explain yet because it's kind of a spoiler. But 2, because they're both different people. And the other question is who is Black now? Because if you did use the Super Dragon Balls to create Black, why is his key similar to Zamasu's? So again, this is all Whis' speculation. For all we know, it could be off and completely wrong. Something completely different could be the case in the future. I mean, but I still feel like that for all we know, Black could be another form of Zamasu from a different timeline. And then now we're dealing with 3 Zamasus instead of 1.
Oh, yeah.
But then again, that's kind of wrong too, because when Goku Black first met Goku, well, no, he knew who he was. I don't know. This is so confusing. So I guess in the comment section below, I want to hear from you guys the best theory or explanation you have with this whole shenanigans, because it's so confusing. Because again, the only thing that bugs me is that's this has already been established in the past that timelines don't work this way. It's like, this is what happened. This is one timeline. Trunks travels in the past and it does this. Now, what happens in this one doesn't affect this one. These are completely independent as they completely strive further away. However, because you have the time ring, you can kind of like, converge them together and cause... Time travel is confusing.
That doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense to me either. And I just know that they're different. The Zamasu in the present and the Zamasu in the future are 2 different ones. And, I mean, I can't even confirm that. For all we know, that could be wrong, too, because technically he could zap into the future at any point. And
yeah.
And he did say last episode, we meet again. So we get to fight again. So, I don't know. I'm confused.
I wonder... Because I keep thinking that he just used the ring to go a year into the future to make himself immortal quicker. And then stayed there.
You can't stay, you have to go back.
But then...
That's the one rule.
Oh, yeah. Well, no. I thought only if you traveled into the past you'd have to bounce back, not
that was the rings screwing up, but you're not supposed to use the rings to travel into the future. You're supposed to use the rings to go into the future to look into it, to kind of see like what's happening, and to kind of gauge your... Because they used the time leap like a couple episodes ago to go into the future to see how that civilization changed over the course of 1,000 years. But they're not designed to stay in the future. But at the same time, I don't even know that.
But what if he just broke the rules?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know how legit it is. I just know that when because time traveling is like super forbidden in this world. When Goku Black was sent to the past, he got immediately sent back to the future because
that was
against the rules. Yeah.
But in the future, I wonder if you can actually break the rules. They just don't assume that a god would break the rules.
That's actually a good point.
He might have broken the rule, but then the question is, how is it that there's a Zamasu in the present when he went to the future? You know what I mean? Unless that's a different...
That's why I'm starting to think that there's multiple Zamasus. Because, I mean, we do know that there's multiple characters. based on time travel. I mean, if you go from universe to universe, the characters are different. But if you go from timeline to timeline, there's the same characters. Because we know future Yajirobe exists. We know future Goku, Vegeta, Krillin, whatever used to exist. So what I'm thinking here is his ultimate plan, which is going to be revealed in a couple episodes, his ultimate plan to exterminate all the mortals has to do with him doing it across time. So I think, honestly, because Zamasu is evil right now, and this is before meeting anybody, like nothing influenced him to be evil than he already was. I mean, the one key factor here is that you could probably toss out is Goku Black influenced him because he beat him, and that led him to creating Goku Black. But Zamasu from the start, across all the timelines, was already evil, and he already he was already designed and created to do what he's going to do. In this case, would be to kill.
Yeah, but he wouldn't have sought out Goku's body if he didn't fight him.
If he didn't fight him, yeah.
So
but he was still evil.
He's still evil, but that doesn't mean anything because.
Well, what I was gonna say was, with him already being evil, there's nothing stopping him from going into the future, finding future versions of himself, and creating an army. For all we know, he has created a plan where he is destroying lives, not just in Trunks' timeline, but in other timelines. Every timeline except for the main one, just because the main one hasn't been developed yet. Yeah, like it's getting there. Mm-hmm. So what I feel like we're going to go into is, I think we're going to that path. Like for all we know, he kills Gowasu and starts going into timeline after timeline after timeline, telling every single version of himself, like, yo, this is what we're going to do, eliminate everybody. And at some point, after fighting Goku Black, he created Black, and then now he has that servant to help him out, and he's like the perfect warrior. I mean, let's get the strongest person of all universes to help me out, and he's basically invincible. On top of that, he has immortality, which means he can literally do this for the end of time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Wow, that probably makes more sense than anything. And I guess we'll find out soon. There's one more thing I was going to say that I'm completely blanking out right now. I don't remember what it was. There was something else I wanted to toss out there that I can't think about right now. Screw it. I don't know. In the comment section below, let us know your thoughts on everything related to time travel, your best theory as to what's going on. I'm excited because there's still a lot to be done. How are they going to deal with, future Zamasu? First of all, how do you do? Oh, that's what it was. Omni King. This gives a perfect excuse to bring the Omni King in, because if Zamasu did create an infinite, basically infinite army of himself in every single timeline, there's only one thing that can honestly fix that, and that'll be the Omni King. Because I mean, he can do anything apparently. And I feel like what's going to ultimately happen here is Omni King would have to be summoned to undo that. But the problem is last time he got really pissed, he destroyed universe 13 through 18. So what kind of outcome are we looking at that point? I mean, he might not destroy this universe because I guess he's friends with Goku.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. He wouldn't destroy anything with Goku in it.
And before, this is actually just an excuse to kill off all the other universes, so we don't have to get more story in that. But I don't know. So. Let us know your thoughts, anything that happened in the episode, any regards you have, or any ideas you have in regards to the future, how the Omni King could be involved, what you think about the idea of there being many Zamasus, and I guess let's just talk about it down there. Next week, there's no episode. Fortunately, we have to wait 2 weeks. I know, but I read the leaks and titles, and the next 4 episodes are going to be insane. She doesn't know yet because I'm not going to tell her, but yeah.
I could look it up.
I can tell you if you want me to. But with that said, let us know everything you thought, and we'll see you in the next exciting episode of Dragon Ball Super Reviews. Kierbug and Rhymestyle on a new setup that I like. I need to get a fan. It's actually hot up here.
I know, it's hot as
super
balls.
hot because we have 2 studio lights blaring at us, and hot air rises, and it's just hot. And yeah, okay. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.